Islam, everyone. Assalamu alaikum. Beta Makem. We're live and direct back. Happy Egyptian New Year. I said, huh? Happy Egyptian New Year. I thought tomorrow was the celebration of the independence of the United States. July 4th, 4th of July celebration. You know, well, today you'll learn about the astronomical origin of red, white, and blue. You also learn about the mathematical see the cross everywhere on buildings. All right. So, as I said, you see the cross everywhere on churches, on hats, t-shirts, back of cars. And we have been indoctrinated into believing this world over that the cross is a symbol of worship. All right. So I have three images on the board. The towel, the cross, and the ruler. What do they all have in common? Why do I have a ruler on the board, you would ask? What does a ruler have to do with the cross? What the ruler has to do with the cross is that they fit in the same category. The ruler is used for measurement. You don't see people wearing a ruler around their neck. Why not? Why don't people wear a ruler around their neck? Why aren't is a ruler on top of buildings? Why don't people wear rulers on their t-shirts, rulers on their hat, rulers on the jacket, but they wear a cross around their neck, but not a ruler? Why not? The reason why people don't wear a ruler around their neck or on their ears, if it's an earring, is because the masses of people know the function of a ruler. They know a function of a ruler. 5-year-old knows the function of a ruler. Used for measurement. You know, how long is this? You're gonna go get a ruler. All right. So why don't they? Why do they wear a ruler around a cross around the neck? Because they don't know the function of the cross. We've been indoctrinated to believe that's a symbol of worship. This is a measurement device called the Egyptian diameter. This is why it's placed in the same category. Now, what you'll see is the tau, and these are the same. All right, this is just blade lower. The tau, or the Egyptian diameter, is placed in a shaft with winding staircases. There's notches. There's notches on the diameter. There's notches on here. And there's the notches, like you're measuring a flood line. So let's say this is flooded and it went this high. They would have what's called a flood line or a plate indicating that that was the flood line. No different. So these are what's called flood lines determiners for flooding, if there or famine, if there was no flood. Why is this important? This measurement device is key to feeding the world. This measurement device, the Egyptian diameter, plays a huge role in ancient civilization and feeding the world and agriculture. The Nile River, when it flooded, the soot or black mud rose to the surface. The soot or black mud, high in nutrients, and fertilized the Nile Valley for the crops to grow, for vegetation. This cross, the diameter, plays a huge role in civilization. With the knowledge of its ancient use and its mathematical application, you will no longer worship it. You will have knowledge, just as you have knowledge of a ruler and its function. You don't worship a ruler. As you grow, rise in the knowledge of the function, the mathematical function of the cross, you will no longer worship it. Because you will know its function, its application, and its importance in civilization. This is a measurement device. Tomorrow is the Egyptian New Year. It's called the Heliogo Rising of Sirius. Heliogo, all right? Sun pertaining to the sun. The Heliogo Rising of Sirius. Sirius. Sirius is referred to as the dog star. Why? Because it's positioned in a constellation of Canis Major, the great dog. When you have what's called a Heliogo rising, you have what's called a 0 degrees of separation. It's called a conjunction. So it's a conjunction where the sun and Sirius are in 0 degrees of separation. That means they're very close. When this occurs, the Nile River floods. So by observing over a period of time, now when Sirius and the sun rise at the same time, the Nile River floods. This is predictable. This is measurable. So we're going to determine, we're going to base a calendar. So a calendar that you used all your life. The calendar that you've been using all your life is an Egyptian calendar. There's no such calendar as the Gregorian calendar. This doesn't exist. There's no such calendar as the Julian calendar. It doesn't exist. I know what the conquerors call it. They called the Egyptian calendar the Julian calendar. They called the Egyptian calendar the Gregorian calendar. In 1510, Gregory the 13th, when there's every 4 years, there's a 1/4 degree lapse leap year, leap year. So there's a quarter degree lapse. So what Gregory did, the astrologers under his authority, by measuring that quarter degree lapse, they had to what? Adjust the calendar. So it's October 10th, 1510. The next morning is October 20th, 1510. It added 10 days to the calendar for adjustments. Because you gotta remember, because you got a lapse. There's a lapse. So you're making adjustments. This is not new. Making adjustments is not new. So they call that the adjustments on the Gregory's authority. They took an existing calendar and placed the name Gregorian calendar. There's no such calendar. There's no such calendar. Once you understand what involved in making a calendar, the masses of people do not know. It's a piece of paper and so and so's birthday and my wedding anniversary and such and such. Mark this. No, that's not the purpose of a calendar. Is for timekeeping and measurement. The agriculture was the main purpose of a calendar. Agriculture. Once again, this is agriculture. This fed the entire world. This knowledge, the helical rising of Sirius. So predicting the helical rising of Sirius. All right, so because you're looking at, you have your flood lines. So you have what they called rope stretchers. The rope stretchers, all right, let's give you the math. We're getting the math here. All right. You got your 3, 4, 5. All right. 3. This is 5, 4. 3, 4, 5. So this is a fold. Three square plus 4 square equals what? 5 square, right? So that's 9 plus 16 equals 25. So that's 9 squares, 16 squares, and 25 squares. That's called your 3, 4, 5 triangle. So you have the rope stretchers would have knots, and they would survey. So when the Nile River flooded, it washed out the survey lines. So they had to keep surveying. This is ancient knowledge. The calendar you use all your life is your calendar. That is your calendar. That's your calendar. We just don't have the knowledge of the origin of it. We're going by the distortion. We don't have the knowledge of astronomy, spherical trigonometry. So we can't measure. They say it's the Gregorian calendar. We say it's the Gregorian calendar because they say it is. The Abian says the Julian calendar. Massa said, my bad. Massa said it's the Gregorian calendar. So we say it's the Gregorian calendar. Massa say it's the Julian calendar. So we say it's the Julian calendar. Ain't done research the first. Because Massa said. Massa said. All right? So, happy Egyptian New Year. Happy Egyptian New Year. It's very important I give you the math. You need the math. what is involved in a calendar. It would be either the moon, Pallades, Sirius. You have the sun calendar, moon calendar, Sirius calendar, or Venus. And it's used for what? Agriculture, marking time, knowing when to plant. That's the purpose of a calendar. It served no other purpose. It's the purpose because if you can't feed your society, you have none. Forget dancing, forget marching, forget singing. If you can't feed, the dancing, singing, and all that stuff means nothing. Because the dancing is tied to the calendar. Agriculture is called harvest dancing. Fertility dancing. It's tied to what? The seasons, fertility, the calendar, the whole cultural customs, rites, rituals, ceremonies are tied to that. So without the knowledge of the calendar, be able to predict and determine timekeeping and measurement, the dancing and all that stuff means nothing. It won't even exist. What are you dancing for? What are you celebrating for? You're starving. You're starving. What are you dancing? What's the what? So the knowledge is lost. Lost. For centuries, lost. This knowledge was known throughout the society. So now, people wear it around their neck. They've been given a distorted meaning of it. That's for control. So massa controls the food source. That's what it's for, to control. So you control the food source, you control the people. The food source. Get them out of having the knowledge of timekeeping and measurement, having knowledge of planting and harvesting. This is their basic, this is their culture. That's their lifeline. Got to get them out of that. We got to get them dependent on us. Dependent on us. We got to control their food source. So we continue. Red, white, and blue. Red, white, and blue. Red, white, and blue is tied to Sirius. Sirius flickers as red, white, and blue. That's the astronomical origin of it. Of course, the Abians has taken everything and claimed it as their own. Because they know because they control the institutions of indoctrination. Not institutions of learning, institutions of indoctrination misrepresented the institutions of learning. They control that. They control the economy. So as long as they can control the institutions of indoctrination, they bomb our cities, destabilizes economically, hold back the knowledge of our nationality, names, history, culture, rites, ceremonies, rituals, holidays. So we're depending, a perpetual dependency on our conqueror. Our conqueror controls our land, controls our mind, controls our food source, controls our economics. We don't think outside the scope that our conqueror shaped for us. Our conqueror is with us 24/7. Our conqueror is with us 24/7. There's not a second of your entire life that your conqueror has not been with you. Your entire life, they was with they had your mother before she met your father. Before she met your father, they had your mother's mind. They controlled every millisecond of your life. By controlling the minds of the women before they meet your father. That's perpetual control of a nation of people. They raped and ripped the essence, name, nationality, rights, ceremonies, rituals, holidays, culture, land. You could control their people perpetually for generations. Knowledge is going to get us out of this. And national unity. So red, white, and blue. I'll continue here. Now you have, all right, July 4th. Now, the last chapter in my book, The Masonic Compass and Square and the Connection to Time Measurement and Timekeeping, I have the explanation of the helical rising of Sirius, which is the July 4th, the Egyptian New Year. I'm going to read the back of this book cover. John Michel, who wrote the foreword for the canon, an exposition of the pagan mystery perpetuated in the Kabbalah as the rule of all arts, written by William Sterling, states, the subject of the canon is the ancient and esoteric law that formerly regulated every aspect of human activity, providing a canonical standard for all the arts and sciences as music, decoration, sculpture, astronomy, and the art of government, and which, according to Plato, preserved for over 10,000 years the stability of Egyptian culture. The numerical ratios of which the law was essentially composed were also applied to metaphysics and theology. The nature of each god was represented by a number, to which reference was made in the numerical value of the letters in his name, in the dimensions of his temples, in the number of verses in the hymns addressed to him, and in all his verses, various rites and attributes. An initiate into these mysteries was thus able to study the relative significance of the individual gods within the cosmic scheme, of which the law was both the symbol and the image. The canon is not presented as a textbook of mythical mathematics, but has a more subtle purpose to illustrate the methods by which the priests formally regulated the lives of the people in accordance with the interpretation of the cosmic law and cycles. To understand the meaning of this science, even to admit the possibility of an accurate and skillfully applied cosmological knowledge among the ancients, it is necessary to disregard several fundamentals assumptions of modern history and philosophy. I mean, the distortion, disregard distortions. You disregard distortion by replacing it with the truth. I read that so that I wanted you to place the setting of our ancient mothers and fathers. our ancestors, the cosmic knowledge, the mathematical knowledge, the huge, the vast mathematical knowledge, building civilization based on that mathematical and astronomical knowledge. Today, the Albions, our conquerors, have preserved this knowledge. And this knowledge is preserved through rituals and Masonic orders. They've taken measurement devices and called them symbols. It's not symbols. So it is preserved. But unfortunately, our brothers and sisters are not taught that. Our brothers and sisters who are Masons and Eastern Stars in the orders simply are orientated that they're just symbols, Masonic symbols. When they buy rings and they buy degrees and $300 here, this degree, $300, this degree, $300, and so a lot of their finances making, and they happy because they're part of what they think they're getting sublime knowledge, and they taught do guards and you know what I mean, and hailing signs and you know what I mean, and passwords, and but they can't build their communities. They're supposed to be getting, in their mind, getting this sublime knowledge, but they're powerless. They can't build their communities. So they're in the sandbox playing with toys. Meanwhile, their conquerors, you know what I mean, are running, governing our land and resources. We're in sandboxes like children. We got my daughter Tamerson, when she was little, she had a kitchen set. So they like my daughter Tamerson when she was little with a kitchen set. Meanwhile, the Albions have the real kitchen. They got the real stove. They got the real sink. Meanwhile, our brothers and sisters in the lives of, like my daughter was with the, children, make believe kitchen set. That's our brothers and sisters. They laugh behind our backs, my brothers and sisters. They're controlling our land. They're using us as securities, as a tax base, as part of their permanent population, which they use to leverage 10 trillion they got from China. They use us as part of their prospectus, as part of their population, because what? They pledge the people as futures, as what? Collaterals. And they include us as part of their prospectus package. Use us as sureties, as a tax base. And they legislate crumbs for us. They legislate what they're going to give us. This is our land. A foreign power is legislating crumbs for you on your own land. Crumbs. We must rise in knowledge. Happy Egyptian New Year. Happy Egyptian New Year. Happy Egyptian New Year. The color red, white, and blue are yours. So I want to thank you all for tuning in to get my book. You go to my books, you go to Moors and Masonry.org. You go to moorsandmasonry.org. You have the How Her Venus and Moon Rule, etymology and vocabulary, Moors and Masonry. the Illuminati, and the illumination of the mind, the ancient musical scale, pineal gland, melanin, DNA, and cellular memory. And of course, the Masonic composite square and the connection to time keep measurement and timekeeping. Now, the Academy of Providence has a course that begins in 2 weeks. Getting to the Roots 201. It's a 7-week course starting 2 weeks, June 24th through September 24th from 12 p.m. to 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. About our program, the 7 weeks Getting to the Roots course is designed to teach the students the difference between positive and negative law and how constructive language is used to reshape jurisdiction to deprive the people of their inherited rights. Moreover, students will learn the methods of how words are reconstructed from one language to another, thereby gaining insight into the morphological connection among the various forms of a word in the different languages. Yours truly, Abdullah Mosi Bey, will be the instructor of this course. Enroll now. Go to UnitedRepublicOfMorocco.com and click on Academy of Province. That should be, I'll be placing on the screen. You'll see UnitedRepublicOfMorocco.com and click on Academy of Providence. I want to thank you again, and I trust I illuminated you. Happy Egyptian New Year. All right. You now have gained knowledge of the astronomical and mathematical function of the cross that you see every day. Thank you again. Peace. Assalamu alaikum. Veda Makum.